So word on the street is you got a little plantar fasciitis and you don't know what to do about it. Luckily for you guys, I know what to do about it. In this video, we're going to talk about what plantar fasciitis is, how I overcame it, how footwear contributes to the problem, and how our activities contribute to the problem. If you're watching this, I'm sure you have it right now. Maybe you've had it in the past, or you just know someone that's had this condition, because let's be real, it's super common. So without further ado, let's talk about it. All right, guys, we're gonna be real elementary here from the ground up. Plantar, bottom of the foot. Bottom of the foot. I like that flexibility. I've been working really hard on it. I'm proud of it. Anywho, bottom of the foot. Fasciitis, inflammation of the fascia. What's fascia? Well, it's just connective tissue that pretty much encases, holds every major organ in your body, blood vessels, you name it, muscles, everything. I guess it's kind of a big deal, right? But for the sake of this video, we're gonna talk about its relationship or effect on muscles and tendons, right? Cool, excellent. So fascia in that regard connects muscle to muscle or surrounds muscle, right? When we talk about surround, we're talking usually like muscle fibers and stuff. Anywho, a good example would be something called the IT band, right? Comes right in here and attaches to the knee. Well, what muscles attach to it? You got your glutes attaching to it here, your TFL, which attaches to it right here, and alongside the quad, there's an attachment. So when any of these muscles are working, there's always a pull being felt through the plantar fascia. There's a lot of force going through that tissue. Well, the foot is the same. Bottom of the foot, it comes out of the heel and attaches to the base of the toes. It's a thick layer of tissue, and there's over 10 muscles that have an attachment to it, which is a lot when you think about it. Every toe that moves, every time you push off, anything like that, that force is going through the plantar fascia. It supports the arch of your foot, and like I just said, a lot of force is running through those tissues. And research also shows the greater demand or the greater loading you have on the Achilles tendon for the calf, the greater load you're gonna have on the plantar fascia. Well, the way I just described it to you, that makes sense, right? Because it's connected, and anything that's connected has an influence on it. I want to talk about what it means to be tight, because some people really just don't know. They'll use that word and not know. If you are tight, truly tight, you are limited in range of motion a little bit. The muscles are held closer together. Okay, so I'm going to show you an example. Let's look at the bicep. When it contracts, it gets closer together, right? It's moving closer together, but it doesn't always have to contract. If I'm laying on my bed or desk or whatever, and I'm like this for hours, that's hours I'm spent with the muscles closer together. And if you do that for long periods of time, you can get tight without using that muscle for exercise or activities. That's how some muscles get tight, and the calf is no different, and that's a pretty common culprit with plantar fasciitis. All right, so how does the calf get tight? Got this nice, beautiful calf I'm blessing you guys with. Not really, but for the demonstration purpose, right? How do they get tight? Well, a calf raises the heel, but it also bends the knee. So if you do a lot of running, you got a lot of heel raising, right? Sports, anything, a lot of heel raising and pushing. But if you just simply work and stand on your feet all day, you're held in a position like this. Here's a good example. Modern shoes. See how big that heel is? So you're always in a position like this when you're working and on your feet, and your toes are up as well. That puts a lot of stress through those tissues, right? They're held in a position where they're shorter. So because they're shorter for long periods of time, they're going to get tight, right? But it doesn't just have to be at work if you're standing. If you're sitting at work, the knee's gonna be bent at least that much if you're sitting. But if you're wearing shoes, which obviously you're gonna have shoes in the workplace, the heel is up, again, even more tight. So just because you aren't exercising and running doesn't mean your calves aren't tight. This is a perfect example, and I want you to think about it like a spring, right? A spring, if you attach it on 2 points, is always trying to pull together. There's always a force. The same thing with muscles. There's always kind of a force being exerted. So that goes right into the plantar fascia. Now the problem comes, let's say if you're tight and you're exercising, when you're running and doing things, you need this shin bone to be able to move over the foot like so. But if your calf is tight, maybe instead of here, you can only get there. But to make up for that motion, your body does other things. It'll turn the foot out to the side. This big toe will kind of come in and you'll kind of push off like that. It's a way to kind of get more motion. But again, that's a reason people get plantar fasciitis. So now we're going to talk about factors that lead to plantar fasciitis. And this is where my personal story comes in. I'm going to tell you what helped me out the most. But these are 7 things in no particular order, and you can have any combination of them. Keep that in mind. So the first one is going to be just too much stuff going on, right? Whether you're exercising too much, playing sports too much, or maybe you have a job that has a lot of demand on your body and you're doing other things as well, right? Too much, very straightforward. The second one is weak feet and ankles. So I'm gonna tell you why that's a problem. Okay, your calves are tight, cool, whatever, right? But if they're not strong enough for the demand you're placing on your body, you're gonna get achy and a little uncomfortable. And sometimes once you develop that plantar fasciitis, it kind of hangs around even if you just take breaks, right? Another thing is weak hips. The stronger your hips are, the better shot you have at mitigating or not having plantar fasciitis. Particularly the glute medius, right? Because when you're on a single leg, my other leg is up, you can't see it, but it is. That's firing to make sure you have a good level pelvis, right? The weaker your hips are, the more that force, especially while exercising, goes straight down to your feet, and it doesn't feel great. The next one is tight muscles, which this cleared me up 90%. All right, story time, guys. We're gonna travel back in time. About October, late September 2020. I got into handball again, started exercising a lot, and I also didn't build up proper strength because I went from not exercising, doing anything, to just boom, playing handball a lot. Not really too much, but relatively at that moment, too much for where I was at. I wasn't strong enough and I was putting too much demand. But ever since then, I couldn't get over it. I'd wake up, my feet would feel like a lot of pulling. I wouldn't say too much pain, but mostly pulling. I was moving, exercising, cool, I didn't feel it. Afterwards, I'd feel it. Or if I'd sit for 20, 30 minutes, get up, ooh, I'd feel it. Doesn't matter what I do, doesn't matter temperature, didn't matter anything. So I was like, okay, I'm gonna rest. I took the winter off, and a little while later, and I noticed it just wasn't going away, no matter how much icing I was doing. And I was stretching, but not enough, right? But that's when I was like, you know what? I know that tight calves, because I've had tight calves. Tight calves contribute to that. So I started relentlessly stretching it. Obviously don't do it till you're in pain. I wasn't in pain while I was stretching, but I was stretching a lot more than the traditional 3 for 30. And I noticed I started to see big improvements because I could physically move forward and deeper into the stretches. So I know I was getting better. Another thing that told me that is I had plantar fasciitis on both feet. The side that was worse was my right side. And this side, more flexible, stronger than my left side. Only difference was my right calf was way tighter. And you'll notice that people with plantar fasciitis on both feet, a lot of times the side of the tighter calf, that's where you have more pain. So I was doing my stretching, being good about it, doing my exercises, building strength, and 90%. But I still had that lingering 10%. It wasn't awful, but you know, it would be nice to not have that 10%, right? Let's be real. And I'm gonna skip over number 5 and go right to number 6. I also, in that period of time where I was dealing with that, overall I lost about 30 pounds. But from there, I lost 10 pounds, 10 to 12 pounds, and I noticed that's it, that lingering 10% was gone. It wasn't a lot of weight, just a little bit I needed off me. Yo, it was gone. And it hasn't come back to this day, and I've been very grateful for that. And again, you could have a mixture of all these things, right? It could be attributed, like in my situation, maybe like 10% weight, maybe like 80%, not 80, right? But like 50% tight muscles, 30% weak muscles, another 10% doing too much, right? It could be like that. But sometimes the weight can help you feel better if you lose a little bit. The way I like to think about it like this. Let's say you do your 10,000 steps, right? We getting it in and we working, right? Let's compare my numbers this year to last year. I lost 30 pounds, right? So this is how much less stress and less weight is moving through my body. So 10,000 times 30 is 300,000. I got 2 legs and 2 feet, so divide that by 2. That's 150,000 pounds. Each day I would do 10,000 steps per leg. I'd have 150,000 less pounds running through both legs. That's kind of nutty, isn't it? That's pretty crazy, right? And I'm stronger than I was then, so my body is more capable as well. And the thing is, that's just regular steps. So imagine playing sports, all the explosive movements you're doing, blah, 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 right? So this could be 10%, 50%, or more than that. Just keep that in mind. And the last one is just predispositions. Our anatomy is a little different. You know, everyone's a little different. Particularly the people who have really high arches, they're known for having more rigid feet. And since their feet are more rigid, that shock absorption isn't as great. So a lot of it goes right into the forefoot, front of the foot, and the heel area, right? Doesn't kind of get dispersed through that middle. So sometimes they'll get plantar fasciitis as well. Sometimes people who with a flat feet, even though it's not really true flat feet, just really low arches, you know, I just want you to know that you are not doomed. This ain't a death sentence because you have flat feet. You can get your feet much stronger and it can help you go a long way. Just throwing that out there, keeping it real, right? So these are all the factors that contribute to plantar fasciitis and some other things, but these are the main ones that seem to really benefit people. And there's one more thing I forgot to mention, and that is heel spurs. That's another factor. So if you suspect you have it, go see your doctor. They might recommend you do some imaging of some sort to kind of rule that out. If you don't have it, definitely one of those factors. If you do have it, it's not a death sentence. You can still address some of those factors. You gotta see exactly where it is that your problem lies and address it. Remember, with the tight muscles, it's not just the tight calves, even though that's super common, but anything that attaches to the plantar fascia. If it's tight, fix it. I'm gonna show you how. And another thing, guys, I ain't put it in because I'm gonna do a full video on it. The shoes we wear really make a big difference. I alluded to it earlier when I was talking about the big heel that brings your foot up higher, makes your calf tighter, and how the toes are coming up for no reason. That's not how your foot naturally is. That's how your foot naturally is. Super flexible shoes, your toes, everything can move nicely. So we're gonna talk about that. Touch upon plantar fasciitis in the video, but just talk about why shoes like this are better for you. You want another tip from me? Here's another tip. Go barefoot in your house. 2 years ago, I started only being barefoot so my feet can work. Think about it. 2 years of not being in sandals or anything throughout the house make a big difference. That's more mobility, more work on your foot. Food for thought, right? All right, my lovely people, we're doing the most fundamental, universally loved calf stretch that there is in the world. Find a pole, anything in front of you like I do. You're gonna put 1 foot forward. The leg you're stretching is in the back. We're gonna keep the heel firmly planted in the ground. Lock those knees. You're gonna tuck the butt under and squeeze those glutes. Now let's move the body forward. You feel a good pull in the calf. Don't cheat and throw the butt back. Tuck under, squeeze, and we're gonna lean forward. And if you wanted to increase that stretch, you're gonna find anything that's kind of dome shaped or somewhat solid to elevate your toes. But the same thing applies. Heel in the ground, knee lock, and you're gonna squeeze that booty. And you're gonna feel a good pull in the calf. Pretty gnarly pull, actually. And if you don't got anything to elevate that foot, this is what we're working with. Foot against the wall, pole, whatever you got. Heel in contact, knee lock. You're gonna squeeze the glute and bring the body forward. If the heel's sensitive, place a pad under it. It'll give you a little relief. You also get a toe stretch out of this, which is pretty nice. So on to the coup de grace, the bee's knees of calf stretch, and all of the above. It's psyched you out. This is what we're really doing. We'll get to that. Foot about 5 centimeters away from the wall. Keep the heel in the ground. Try to bring the knee to the wall. If you can make contact, excellent. If you can't, that means it's probably tight and you can benefit from a soleus stretch. If you can barely do it, you still can benefit from it. I got pretty exceptional. I got pretty good flexibility there. So this is something we can keep working out to round out the calf stretching. Now onto the slant board. Honestly, I think this helps people adhere to things the most. Like I said, more than 3 times 30 seconds. It really helped me out a lot. You can build one if you want. There's tutorials online. Figure it out. You get a great pull. Nothing better than this, in my honest opinion. You can also stretch the soleus just like this by bending the knees, but it's better to do one leg at a time. Other than it just being more comfortable, you can kind of work on the weak points, or address it rather. Enough about the calf. Everyone forgets about the toes. This is how we're going to stretch the bottom of the foot. The leg's going to be in the back. You're going to put pressure just like so. And we can do the opposite, and you're going to feel it on top of the foot and maybe even on top of the toes. Again, one that goes overlooked, and I'm going to show you how to make the stretch a little more intense. We're going to be on our knees, preferably on a soft surface. This is how we're going to stretch the bottom of our feet. Just put the weight into the heels. If your quads are tight, you may not be able to get into this position. We're going to do the opposite for the top of the foot and top of the toes. Foot in that position and just sit back on those heels. And if either of these are painful, don't worry, I got you covered. There's other ways to do it. Now let's free your foot from the prison that is your shoe. We're gonna pull the toes back just like that. You're gonna feel the stretch on the bottom of your foot and maybe even the bottom of your toes. This is the easier way to do this. We could do the opposite and just bend those toes. Keep the ankle in a normal position. If you want to increase that, let's point that foot and bend the toe. You'll feel a really good pull. I feel a good pull with this. Top of my foot is tighter, the bottom of my foot is a little more flexible. Now on to some mobility stuff and learning to use the arch. All you're going to do is take that big toe and press it down into the ground. You're going to see that arch raise. If you don't see it, don't worry, it's working. But keep the base of that big toe glued to the ground the whole time. See, each time the arch does lift. There's another way to activate the arch that I think everyone should learn, and it's like this. Bend the toes like that. If you can learn to do that, you can create a lot of stability in the foot, and you see the arch is a little higher. And we got towel crunches to show us how. This is a good way to practice that motion. Since the towel is smooth, you can kind of glide. Keep the foot down. Try not to crunch with the foot elevated like that. Keep everything on the ground. It comes off a little bit, not the end of the world, but it's important to understand this motion and to be able to do it consciously. Look how high that arch goes. Pretty crazy. These are some more mobility exercises to bring up that foot IQ. It's called toe yoga. You're alternating the big toe and the little toes. You can also just bring the little toes up or just the big toe, but that takes a little brain power and practice. Our feet are dumb. We got to teach them how to be smart again. And I'm hitting you with a different angle. I know, I'm about to put these away. This is toe yoga from the up position. Also spreading your toes out like that is super important. Do that. You can do that every day, anywhere, anytime, any place when you're standing. I'm doing both at the same time. Extend those toes. Now again, I ain't got that much brain power to do this, so alternating, big toe, little toes moving. And that's enough of my feet. I can finally put my toes away. Anywho, this is how we progress calf raises. So you're gonna do raises like that onto the toes on a flat surface. Then you can do up on two, down on one. Then you can just do straight up one-legged. Now you go off the step for a deeper stretch, up on two. You can also again, up on two, down on one, just on one leg. Pretty straightforward as far as progressing it. You can also bend those knees, do it with bent knees. Can't really see it too great from this angle, but you progress it the same. I'm going to show you a side view of this. As you can see, this is what that side view looks like. Same thing, up on two, down on one. Need I repeat it? Yes, we got to commit it to memory. Anywho, you can also just do straight up one-legged with the knee bent, which is great. You can also just add weight to any of this to make any one of those more difficult. Now we're gonna get some brolic shins. We're doing tib raises now. It's strengthening a muscle called the tib anterior. But let's not cheat. Slow and control with the knees locked. Don't be straightening the knees like that. Keep them locked. Foot up as high as you can. You're gonna feel the burn right in the front of the shins. If you want to make it harder, feet forward. If you want to make it easier, scoot those feet back and you're good to go. Moving on to balance work to strengthen the foot and create stability in the ankle. You're gonna bring the leg up, arms out. Arms in is more difficult. If you want to make it more challenging, close those eyes and you're gonna hold. You're gonna see the bottom of my foot shaking, moving left to right to try to create that stability. That gets easy. You can throw a pad, anything like that to create more instability. If you ain't got one at home, get a pillow, throw a towel over it, and you can repeat the same thing to make it more challenging. You can see my ankle working there. If you want to take it a step further, you can do RDLs on that thing, and that's pretty hard, and that'll give you some pretty good ankle stability. So as you can see, I kind of gotta hold on there. It's not super easy, but it is worth getting good at. But I have to knock out one more for the sake of doing a smooth rep. Yeah, that's better. Let's go. All right. Now you can throw the pad away. You're gonna have your hand over against the wall, but mine is against the bars. You're gonna balance and try to push your body away, and you're gonna feel the bottom of your foot, particularly with the arch, start to work really hard in order to resist all the force you're putting into the wall. Well, hello there. I ain't see you there. Lovely you to stop by. Let's do leg lifts to the side. You can have an ankle weight like me. Push those hips forward, knee locked, and leg is in the plane of the body, if not even behind it a little bit. You also want to make sure the hips don't open up. You didn't really see right there, but I'm working with what I got. And then you can also do any kind of single leg exercise. Again, I get cut off, but you get the point. I'm doing single leg squats, killing it. And the glute med does a good job at keeping my pelvis leveled. I know guys, I'm changing my outfit so much, but this has been quite the video to make, so give me a break. Let's do the lunges, and if you need assistance, you can hold on like I'm doing. Peep the back foot. You're getting a lot of stretch through the back foot and a lot of loading in a stretch position, and you're also producing force in the stretch position. So this is a great exercise when you're dealing with plantar fasciitis. If you got issues stepping back, you can use a slider, which is pretty cheap on Amazon, like 15 bucks, or a towel on a smooth floor. It's gonna slide back like so and sink into the lunge. And this is a wonderful alternative to stepping back and doing a lunge. It gets the job done well. Alright guys, I know it's been a long video, but we're gonna do a recap. I'm gonna try to summarize everything. So thank you to the MVPs that stood the entire time. But also thank you for anyone that skipped forward to the summary. I appreciate everything, and I know it's a long video, so I apologize. I'm just trying to do the best I can and try to elaborate instead of just being that guy that's, oh, do this, do that. Oh, don't worry about why, just do it. So let's go over the factors. Weak muscles, particularly in the feet and the ankles. Weak hips. Tight muscles in general. Doing too much stuff. Sleep and nutrition. Number 5. Number 6, the weight that we're carrying around. Number 7, the predispositions that we have, whether we have super high arches or flat feet, which may or may not contribute to the problem or make the problem worse. And number 8, which is heel spurs. And I kind of want to throw in the number 9, because now that I think about it, sometimes when you guys are doing certain things, exercises, running, whatever, maybe your technique is flawed. And because your technique is flawed, you're having pain. Secret number 9. You see, if you didn't watch the summary, you didn't know that. You also have to give this stuff time, guys. If you've been dealing with it for an extended period of time, 1-2 years, don't expect to get better in a week, 2 weeks. I know we live in a world of instant gratification, but yo, take your time. Consistency is everything in situations like this. So give it a fair shot. Give your body a fair shot to actually get better, right? You can also learn a few things along the way. Learn how to take care of your body. Learn how to just be mindful of things. And when you're doing these stretches, yo, more than 3 for 30, please. 3 for 30 is like minimum, it's baseline. I was doing that and it really didn't do much. The moment I started pushing my stretching, having a little more intensity in my stretching, not going crazy, trying to have my muscles split apart and or pushing through pain, but just good amount of stretching went a long way. So more than 3 for 30, do it throughout the day, the beginning of the day, the end of the day. And when you're doing your strengthening exercises, remember, you gotta progress it the right way. I showed you guys like every progression I could pretty much think of, right? So there's tons of progressions out there for you. Just do it appropriately. Don't skip a step, don't skip 2 steps, right? If things get easy, instead of 3 sets of 10, 4 sets of 10. Do it 2 or 3 times a week. 3 sets of 15. Do them longer. Take your time coming down. Like, there's different ways to modify it to make it harder. Just make sure you're progressing. If you do 3 sets of 10 for the same exercise and you don't change anything, that progress is gonna stall. I'm just gonna be honest with you. It is what it is. We gotta progress. And modern footwear really does cause a lot of problems. I've been kind of wearing barefoot shoes for about a year and change, and it's made a tremendous difference in just my overall pain. But that's a topic for another video. We'll talk about how that relates to foot pain, knee pain, back pain, all that good stuff. So keep your eyes peeled and your ear to the ground. Now, let's briefly go over the exercises and stretches, everyone's favorite part. Calves, stretching. Showed you everything possible, any way I could think of. Do one with a straight knee, one with a bent knee. Choose one of each, don't do all of them, doesn't make sense. I showed you how to strengthen them as well. Same thing. One with the knees straight, one with the knees bent. You put emphasis on different calf muscles. I showed you how to strengthen the tibialis anterior, which is the muscle on the front of the shin. It's a more basic one, but for the purpose of this video, it does the job. Again, future video, how to strengthen that in different ways. I showed you how to stretch the bottom of the foot and the top of the foot. You're also going to feel on top of the toes and bottom of the toes. Easy, medium, and a more advanced version of that. Again, pick one depending on where your starting point is. I showed you balance exercises, which is crucial for getting better and just having a stable ankle, right? I think we can all agree. Again, progress the right way. Hold it for longer, do things to make it more difficult. Lunges are awesome, especially because the foot in the back is stretching, the toes are stretching under load with resistance. So you can actually also produce force in that stretch position, which is why the lunges are pretty damn good. Squats, deadlifts, all that stuff, excellent. But I think lunges have a really good place in a recovery program for a plantar fasciitis. And get your hips stronger, particularly the glute medius, like I mentioned. Whether you're out here doing leg lifts to the side, you're doing single leg squats or single leg weight bearing exercise. Even when you balance on that one leg, you're still using the glute med. You know why? Because you're trying to keep your hips even. So get your hips stronger, it's gonna help you. That's pretty much it, guys. There are other things that can contribute to it, but again, each person is so different. And I think the information I provided for you guys touches upon a lot of different concepts. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I tried to make it as short as possible, but that ain't really work out. It's probably about 30 minutes, but it is what it is. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe so I can keep bringing you this juicy content. Until next time, guys, keep doing your stretching, watch your posture, and mind your business. Peace.